and welcome to the Expanded Learning in California Grantee Orientation video on grant modifications, brought to you by the Expanded Learning Division of the California Department of Education in partnership with the California AfterSchool Network. The purpose of this video is to inform expanded learning grantees of the different types of modifications that are allowed per education code. We at the CDE understand that things change frequently, and sometimes modifying a grant is necessary to ensure the program can continue to run at the highest quality. Hello, my name is Kelly Faustino, and I am an Education Programs Consultant with the California Department of Education's Expanded Learning Division. Grants are able to be modified if they meet the minimum requirements as outlined in Education Code. This video will review the different types of modifications that are available, their requirements, and the approval process for each. The following modifications are available for Expanded Learning Program grantees: Partnership Restructure, Fiscal Agent Change, and School Site Substitution. Let's begin with Partnership Restructure. A partnership restructure is when the grantee wants to change who is listed as a partner, also known as a co-applicant on the grant. All partners listed on the grant have a legal responsibility to ensure that the program is implemented in accordance with Education Code and the assurances. A partnership restructure allows entities to either get off of a grant where they are listed as a partner or allow entities to be added onto a grant. This grant modification is allowed for all three of our grant programs: After-School Education and Safety, known as ASES, 21st Century Community Learning Centers, known as 21st CCLC, and 21st CCLC After-School Safety and Enrichment for Teens, known as ASETs. There are 4 requirements listed in Education Code that must be met in order for a grant to be eligible to apply for a partnership restructure. First, all existing members or partners must agree to the restructure. Second, there cannot be any change to the school or schools served by the restructure. Third, all partners have to comply with the terms of the grant. And finally, the California Department of Education must approve the restructure. There are additional requirements unique to each grant program. For our ASES program, the program plan must be updated if there is a significant change to the level of programming. The revised program plan can be submitted to the regional consultant and analyst at the Expanded Learning Division. For our 21st CCLC and 21st CCLC ASETs programs, the new partners must continue to implement what was outlined in the original grant application. For these programs, the new partners must continue implementing what was in the original grant application because they were funded through a competitive grant process. Partnership restructure forms must be submitted to the CDE no later than January 31st to be effective the following fiscal year. The form can be found on our webpage under Reporting and Forms. Both the certified and general assurances must be completed by the new partner and can be found on our webpage under Laws and Policy. The CDE will carefully review each application to ensure the requirements are met and the following necessary components have been submitted: Partnership Restructure Form, signatures and approvals, updated program plan for our ASES programs, and the CDE's general and certified assurances. Let's take a moment to review some frequently asked questions that pertain to partnership restructure. When can a partnership restructure be requested? Partnership restructure requests are due by January 31st, and if approved, they will go into effect the following fiscal year. Grantees are able to submit requests all the way up until the January 31st deadline. The CDE requires this date to ensure we have adequate time to review each application submitted. Can a grant add or delete partners during restructuring? Yes, if all of the requirements are met. As mentioned previously, partnership restructure requests are not only to add new partners to existing grants, but also to remove current partners that are no longer able to serve on the grant. What happens when a partner wants to get off of a grant, but the fiscal agent does not want the change? If all of the partners are not in agreement, the change cannot take place. We now have some scenarios to test your knowledge on partnership restructure. Would the following scenarios be allowable? Why or why not? Faustino School District and a community-based organization are currently partners on a 21st CCLC grant. The district has had conflict with a community-based organization, known as a CBO, listed as a partner on the grant and no longer wants them providing programming for their sites. The community-based organization would like to continue serving the schools outlined in the original grant application. Faustino School District has submitted a partnership restructure application to remove the current CBO and add another to provide programming. Is this allowable? Why or why not? This would not be allowable. All parties listed on the grant application must agree to the restructure. Since the CBO is not in agreement, they cannot be removed from the grant application and must be allowed to continue providing the level of programming outlined in the original grant application. Shoemake County Office of Education serves as a fiscal agent for 2 school districts in their county. The County Office of Education is interested in adding one of the districts as a partner on their ASES application. However, the district only wants to be responsible for the schools in their district. Is this allowable? Why or why not? This would not be approved because you cannot change the school or schools served on the grant application. The grant application identifies all of the schools in both districts. Therefore, any partner added would be responsible for all of those schools. Brady Unified School District is a partner on a 21st CCLC ASES grant with a community-based organization. The community-based organization no longer has the capacity to serve the schools listed on the grant. Both entities are in agreement that they should be removed as a partner. Is this allowable? Why or why not? This would be allowable. However, the district must find another entity to add as a partner on the grant and implement programming outlined in the original grant application. The application was funded and received a priority item for having a co-applicant or partner listed on the grant. Next, we are going to discuss fiscal agent change. Each grant has one fiscal agent. The fiscal agent is the entity that receives the grant funding and is responsible to ensure that the funding is being expended in accordance with the terms of the grant. The fiscal agent is also responsible to track and report expenditures to the California Department of Education. If a grant has a co-applicant, both entities are responsible to ensure the grant funds are being expended appropriately, even though only one entity is physically receiving the funds. A fiscal agent change is when partners within the grant want to change who is physically receiving the funds for the grant. While a fiscal agent change is explicitly allowed for ASES programs in Education Code, ASES 21st CCLC and 21st CCLC ASES programs are able to request a fiscal agent change through the Restructuring of a Partnership statute. While all 3 of our grants are eligible to apply for a fiscal agent change, the requirements are slightly different given that it is explicitly stated in Education Code for ASES. For our ASES programs, the requirements are as follows. The new fiscal agent must be an eligible entity. For ASES, this includes local education agencies and other public agencies such as city organizations. The new fiscal agent needs to be an existing partner, also known as a co-applicant on the grant. If they are not currently listed as a partner, they would be able to apply through the Partnership Restructure provisions in Education Code. The requirements for both the 21st CCLC and 21st CCLC Assets programs are as follows. The entity applying must be eligible. This includes local education agencies, community-based organizations, Indian tribes or tribal organizations, another public or private entity, or a consortium of 2 or more such agencies or organizations. The new fiscal agent needs to be an existing partner, also known as a co-applicant on the grant. If they are not currently listed as a partner, they would be able to apply through the Partnership Restructure provisions in Education Code. Lastly, the new fiscal agent must continue to implement the program plan outlined in the original grant application. Here are some frequently asked questions about fiscal agent change. Can a current grant be split where the current and new fiscal agent each take some of the existing sites? No, the fiscal agent must serve all sites identified on the grant. What if I want to request a fiscal agent change for an entity that is not listed as a partner on my grant? Grantees may complete a partnership restructure form to add or remove a partner and then complete a fiscal agent change request. Fiscal agent change forms must be submitted to the CDE no later than January 31st to be effective the following fiscal year. The form can be found on our webpage under Reporting and Forms. Both the certified assurances can be found on our webpage under Laws and Policy. The CDE will carefully review each application to ensure the requirements are met and all necessary components have been submitted. The following items must be submitted in order to be considered for a fiscal agent change. Fiscal agent change request form, signatures and approvals, an updated program plan for our ASES programs, and the CDE's general and certified assurances. Now, let's review some more scenarios on fiscal agent change. Would the following scenarios be allowable? Why or why not? Brady Unified School District is listed as a fiscal agent on an ASES grant with a CBO listed as a partner or co-applicant. Brady Unified School District has requested a fiscal agent change to have the CBO listed as a fiscal agent of the grant. Would this be allowable? Why or why not? No, this would not be allowable because a community-based organization is not eligible to be a fiscal agent for our ASES programs. Sonnenberg County Office of Education is currently listed as a fiscal agent for 2 districts in their county, who are listed as partners on the ASES grant. The County Office of Education no longer wants to be the fiscal agent and has requested that one of the school districts become the fiscal agent for all of the sites in both districts. Would this be allowable? Why or why not? This would be allowable because the district is an eligible entity and they are keeping all of the sites together. The last grant modification we will be reviewing is a school site substitution. A school site substitution is a permanent change to move an existing program from one site to another site within the same local education agency. This change can be requested when a school is closing down or restructuring. This modification is also available for all 3 of our grant programs, ASES, 21st CCLC, and 21st CCLC Assets. There are a few requirements that must be in place in order to qualify for a school site substitution. First, the new school site must agree to the assurances and terms of the grant. Next, the transfer must be requested from one site to another site within the same local education agency. Lastly, the funding at the proposed school site cannot exceed the legislative cap. So if you are requesting to transfer the funds to a new school site that doesn't have a program, you will be able to transfer all of the funds. However, if you are requesting to transfer the funds to a school site that has an existing program, the site you are transferring to may not exceed the legislative cap listed in Education Code. However, large school adjustments will be considered. A large school adjustment is when a school can request to receive additional funding because they are considered to be a large school. Education Code considers a school large if an elementary school has over 600 students registered or a middle school has over 900 students registered. To figure out how much the grant is eligible to be increased by, simply take the number of students enrolled in the school that is over the large school definition, either 600 or 900, and multiply that number by $113. For example, if an elementary school has 700 students enrolled in the school, that is 100 students over the large school definition. So we would multiply 100 by $113, which means the site is eligible to receive an additional $11,300 over the legislative cap. The school site must also be in good standing with the Expanded Learning Division, meaning they have submitted all of the required reports and have no outstanding federal program monitoring or audit findings. Additionally, the school site that you are transferring the funds to needs to satisfy either requirement. The school site shall receive pupils from and have a grant of the same type awarded pursuant to this article as the transferring school, or the school site shall not have a 10% lower percentage of pupils eligible for free or reduced price meals than the transferring school. Let's test your knowledge once more on school site substitution. Susan B. Anthony Elementary, which is funded at $100,000 and has an FRPM percentage at 72%, has an ASES program in a school district where all of the other 5 sites in the district have programs as well. The district is closing Susan B. Anthony, and the majority of the students are going from Susan B. Anthony to James Marshall Elementary School, which is currently funded at $100,000 and has an FRPM percentage of 99%. Would this be allowable? Yes, this would be allowable because the students are going to the new school site, and the new site has a free and reduced price meal percentage higher than Susan B. Anthony. However, James Marshall Elementary would not be able to receive the entire grant of $100,000 because that would exceed the legislative cap. Lujan Middle School is funded at $122,850 and has an FRPM percentage of 80%. They are closing, and the LEA wants to transfer the funds to Shoemate Middle School, which is currently not funded and has an FRPM percentage of 68%. Would this be allowable? Why or why not? This would not be allowable because the students have not been identified as going to Shoemate Middle School, and the FRPM percentage is less than 10% of Lujan Middle School. If you have questions or concerns regarding your grant requirements or modifications, each region has a California Department of Education Expanded Learning Division consultant, analysts, and county leads to answer your questions and provide assistance with your grant. To access valuable information that will assist you with your grant modifications, please visit www.afterschoolnetwork.org/grant modifications. We thank you for your time and all of your hard work in the field of expanded learning. We hope you enjoyed this video brought to you by the California Department of Education's Expanded Learning Division in collaboration with the California AfterSchool Network. This video is one of 6 videos providing information regarding the program requirements for expanded learning programs in California. Other expanded learning in California topics that you can access include federal program monitoring, continuous quality improvement, quality standards for expanded learning, Grants 101, and 8515. Thank you for watching. This video has been brought to you by the California Department of Education's Expanded Learning Division and the California After School Network.